Good morning, thanks for tuning in. We are back at the UCI Worlds, the road racing. We're actually into the road racing now. This is the under 23, the classification that doesn't exist for the women, only the men. A little bit of lack of parity there. But these are riders who are under the age of 23, but I believe over the age of 18. They may or may not have a pro contract. I've noticed some pro team helmets, because frequently actually in most cases, riders will ride their own pro team bikes. There might even be a contractual obligation to do that. And most of their pro team kit, so you'll see all sorts of different helmets on the same team. So sorry, just trying to think and paint at the same time is always a little difficult. So there has just been a big crash, and this is a group chasing back on. This rider right here is a local rider. Piddock, I believe, was the name, riding for the Great Britain team. So should be used to these rides, these roads, but there was a swing around, a turn, and then over a bridge, and it caught a lot of riders out. And it doesn't matter how well you know the roads and how well you can handle wet British roads. Oft times you can only ride as well as the guy in front of you. And when they go down, you don't have much choice. I did race amateur, and I've been in some of those situations where, well, they've gone down and there's nothing I can do about it. So here I go too. That's a terrible feeling too, because you see it coming. You know you. Sorry, the cat's decided to knock things over. It's kind of her thing. Wow, that was loud too, wasn't it? So this is the group that was held up by the crash, chasing back onto the peloton, and depending on how this painting goes, I may or may not be able to show. I may run out of space before I get to the back of the peloton in the image. You know, because this is where I wanted to focus the painting, and then so I'm you know, sometimes you can't plan it all, right? So this is quite a mixed bag of riders, and there were some people losing a fair amount of skin. It's one of the reasons I stopped racing. I decided, you know what, this hurts too much, and I was never strong enough to really consider that I would have any chance of having a pro tour or even be able to race at that level. I mean, I won some races, but I then quickly realized, you know what, I think I enjoy making art more than I enjoy covering myself. Oh, here's the rest of the peloton. We're just about to catch back on. Come back here and put this team car, a guy holding the bottle out here. It's like, well, hey, I'm beside you. You want to grab a bottle while we're here? Of course, when the racers are chasing back on, they will frequently use the caravan of cars, because you can get a little slipstream. It's a little delicate balance there, because it is not allowed to draft off your team car to work your way back in. It's a little less strictly enforced when you're off the back because of a crash. Now, if you simply lose the wheels from tiredness, inability, whatever, and they will create what's called a barrage and actually leave a big gap of cars between those trying to chase back on and the peloton. So we're calling this catching back on. So I've laid it out, and so you can see this composition where we have all the, and sort of driving this movement forward, and that helps to create the movement in the piece as well. Come on, I know it's 2019. So now we'll come through and start laying in the color. Pull that a little closer to me. It's a combination of trying to give you all a good view and still allowing me to, actually be able to paint the images. So this is a South African rider here. There's any number of different people mixed up in this, sort of a hodgepodge of teams and riders. So start laying in some flesh tone next. I like to do that one because of course it's a pale warm color, but also it helps me to figure out where I am in the images. Just realized we need a little white detail there and there. Okay. Sorry, I put the brush in my mouth, that's why I was talking funny. That's one of the things I'll do, and I actually recommend doing it. It'll make sure your brush is clean. But one way to shape your brush and make sure you get a good point, and also to store it this way, is right before you are, or right when you're done painting and after you've cleaned the brush, to lick it, shape it with your mouth back into a fine point, and that will keep the brush's form, keep it in its fine conical shape. And these brushes I get from the company that I get the same watercolors from, so Richson Art, and the watercolors they're called Yarka St. Petersburg. They're these cake watercolors, really wonderful, bold, beautiful color. Really help to show, brilliant colors really help make the painting that much more dynamic. Just trying to keep an eye here on where everybody is. All right. So now I've worked through the warm colors, vacillate between starting with the blues. So sometimes I'll start with blues, and sometimes I'll start with greens. So just laying in each of these colors as we go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to sneak somebody else in here too. Just the arm of this Russian rider. The main reason to do that is just to get a little more detail in there. All right, now we're going to do a darker blue for some of these darker blue kits. Excuse me. So let's get some of that too. So that's a combination of the cobalt and the ultramarine to give a nice, attractive, darker blue. This is always like the Norwegian kit, and it's usually pretty similar in the Olympics. This red with the white and blue stripe that replicates the cross on their flag. This guy right here is one of the following motorcycles. All right, now we're going to move to the green of the South African kit. I had somebody message on Twitter with the first painting, the one that's sitting up here. It's one of the Irish, and they're like, yeah, we need to see more of the green jerseys. I'm going to assume he meant of the Irish riders, because I haven't responded yet, but the retort to that would be, well, they put themselves in the front like Healy did in this painting here, then I'll paint them. I can't paint what isn't there or isn't happening, or at least I'm not going to. I like a little bit of, it's the word a coworker used to use all the time, verisimilitude. I like a little reality in my stuff, even if I am moving some things around. So now I'm mixing up a black just so I can sort of figure out where we are with things here. And the black, when I say mixing up a black, so I'd never use a straight black out of the tube. I always find that such a dead color. And yes, black is a color. So I mix this sort of alizarin crimson violet here, and then take some of this dark green. I believe it's a Prussian green. I also have a little hooker's green. But see how that gives me that nice dark? Look at that. And see, that's black for all intrinsic purposes. But it's a much more interesting, exciting black. So this laying in these shorts will really help me see. And another thing, I don't think I've mentioned it lately, is see how I'm using the brush strokes to follow the contour of what I'm painting, and it helps just inform the painting that much more. Some of the bikes on the roof here. So pretty much everybody in the peloton, at least this peloton, there are a few exceptions, of course, are wearing black shorts. It's kind of a tradition. When I first started racing, all shorts were black, and I believe required to be. UCI rules have relaxed a bit over the years. There was a big controversy long before the big controversy started with Lance Armstrong about him wearing black socks one day. You would have thought he shot somebody or something. Little did we know then just how controversial of a figure he was going to become. We'll lay in some shadows here now. The sunlight has finally come out. There have been some spectacular issues with the weather in this racing, although someone else once said recently on Twitter, what, you were expecting no rain in England? What are you thinking? This is a little bit of a hillock. They're coming back up. As you can see, the rise in the road. So just mixing a couple of qualities of green here. So we're just about done. So I will mention again that you can see all of these paintings on my blog, theartofcycling.blogspot.com. Also hoping that if you like what you see, you will subscribe to the channel so you will know again the next time I'm painting a bike race or sharing some of my large-scale figurative work. There are some videos of the Shiva paint stick paintings that I do as well on this site. That you'll, if you like what you see, that you'll subscribe, that you'll check out all of the artwork at theartofcycling.blogspot.com. And you can follow through links if you would like to purchase either this painting or any of the others that you see on the blog. You can follow links on the blog to my website, gregleach.com, and I'll provide all these links in the, down below. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and that you'll keep checking back as the races continue. There are a couple more days of racing. We have the women tomorrow, and then the men on Sunday, which will be the culmination of the Worlds. So thanks for taking the time to look. Please subscribe, give a thumbs up.